What's up guys, this is TopTierYugioh. I want to give you guys a quick tip on playing Burning Abyss, and I want to talk about how to get the most value out of your Beatrice and how to make high value Beatrices as well. So not all Beatrices are equal. Their differences are important for deciding whether or not you should make Beatrice, and also if you have multiple Dantes, which Dante you should use. Ideally you want to be able to resolve Beatrice multiple times, and you also want to resolve multiple effects each time you do use Beatrice's effect. So you can use Beatrice a maximum of 3 times if you have 3 materials, and you want each of those materials to have effects as well. At most, you can trigger 2 effects from using Beatrice once, and you can do that 3 times. So in identifying the value of Beatrice, first you want to look at the number of materials. This ensures that you can use the effect the most times. So if you have a Beatrice with 2 materials, that's always going to be more valuable than a Beatrice with only 1 material, for example. And then aside from the number of material, you also want to look at what those materials actually are, and it's important to realize when a monster would have more value than another monster. So what would be a more valuable Beatrice? This one? Or if you had the Speedroids, which of those 2 Beatrice would be more valuable? So here's a full list of those material values from greatest to least. First you have Fiendish Rhino Warrior, Graph, and Scarm. These 3 are always good as material. Rhino Warrior and Graph, they're going to let you trigger any other Burning Abyss monster's effect from your deck. Rhino can send it to the graveyard, and then Graph can summon it. Then with Graph it'll be destroyed by its own effect because Beatrice isn't a Burning Abyss monster. Rhino Warrior and Graph also have different chain links in the other material, so Beatrice will be in one chain, then Graph or Rhino Warrior will activate in the next chain, and then whatever you send to the graveyard with Rhino Warrior or special summon from Graph will activate in another chain. And then Scarm is always good because it'll always set you up for your next turn, and so you can never go wrong with having Scarm as material. So these 2 give you a lot more utility, and this is just a really good setup play. So next you have Alec, Farfa, Calcab, and Seer. These are all situationally good. These situations come up in most games, to be honest. Alec and Farfa both handle monsters, but I put Alec ahead of Farfa because if Beatrice is tribute by Stormforce to summon a Monarch, Alec can negate that Monarch's effect. Farfa would banish it, however the effect will still resolve. But in most situations these 2 are, I'd say, on the same level. It just depends on what you're playing against really. Alec can also negate Tin Can, whereas Farfa can't. Then Calcab is great for clearing back row, and Seer is really similar to Rhino Warrior and Graph. However, with Seer, you're limited by what's in your graveyard. As the game progresses, Seer is going to become more useful, and actually Graph and Rhino Warrior are going to lose value. So that's important to note. Next we have Libic and Barbar. Both of their effects just don't come up as often. Libic is really only good on your turn when you're making more plays, and then Barbar doesn't really advance your game state. But it is useful, however. Next we have Phantom Knights. So these actually don't trigger in graveyard, however they do have effects that you can use on your turn in the graveyard, and that's actually very useful. And it makes them way more useful than anything else that can be sent to the graveyard. And also, if you do have a Phantom Knight trap card in the graveyard, you can banish it from the graveyard to special summon one of these if you happen to detach it. So they're not completely useless. However, in most situations, they're not very valuable as material. But again, they do have very useful graveyard effects. Now we have Dragic, Kagna, and Rubik. These 3 are pretty much useless because they only function as Burning Abyss names. So they're only really good for banishing for Barbar, because Scarm is better than Dragic in every single way. Kagna, I mean, who plays the Burning Abyss spell or traps anymore? So Kagna's pretty useless. And then Rubik literally doesn't have an effect at all. All 3 of these are pretty much only good for Barbar. And now last but not least, actually, these are the least. So last and least, we have Tour Guide, Speedroids, and then Crane. So the reason these are at the bottom of the list is that they don't advance their game state at all. They don't do anything in the graveyard. They can't be banished by Barbar. There's absolutely no advantage that these cards give you when they're in the graveyard. They're very useful for helping to make Dante, and they help make Dante quick and easy, which contributes to making Beatrice at all. However, their value is in your hand, not in your graveyard. While they help you make Beatrice, they don't help you make very valuable ones. So that's something to note. Now this list isn't something you're going to need to memorize, of course, but rather I included it to explain the point that you do need to address the value of your material before making your Beatrice, so that you can make use of them. You don't want to just make wasteful Beatrices because you do only have 3, so you have to be careful with that. So now let's get into some examples, and first I want to show you the most valuable Beatrice that you can possibly make. And so you're going to need a Fiendish Rhino Warrior, a Scarm, and a Graph. Because you need to normal summon Rhino Warrior, you're going to normal summon that first, and now from here the order doesn't necessarily matter. So you can special summon your Scarm, you can disease both of them into Dante, and then you can discard the Graph to make Beatrice. And then Graph's effect's going to trigger, you can use that to special summon another Scarm, Because Beatrice isn't a Burning Abyss monster, Skarm's going to be destroyed, and now in your end phase, you can trigger Skarm's effect. You can do it the other way as well. So you can normal summon Rhino Warrior, and then you can special summon Graph, exceeds both of those into Dante, then discard the Skarm to make Beatrice, and then also use Skarm's effect in the end phase to get your search. For this next example, let's say you already have a Dante in the graveyard, and then you have a Tour Guide and a Skarm in your hand. And you can use Tour Guide's effect to get a Seer. Then you can exceed both of those into a Dante. Then you can use Dante's effect, mill 3. Doesn't really matter what you mill. And then you're going to use Seer's effect to revive this Dante. And so now you have 2 Dantes, and you still have the Skarm in your hand. So which one of these do you use to make the Beatrice? Do you use this Dante or this Dante? So you want to ask yourself, like, which one of these is more valuable? So because this one has more material, it's more valuable, and therefore you'd want to discard your Skarm to make Beatrice on this Dante. Now the only exception to that would be if you're trying to go for damage. So if you can go for game, then you want to make it on this Dante, because this is going to be 5,000 damage versus just 3,500. So if you're not going for damage, it's always going to be better to put your Beatrice over this Dante, because it's more valuable, it has more material. So now let's say you have Speedroid, Terratop, and 3 Burning Abyss monsters in your hand. So you can make one Dante with Terratop, and you can make another Dante with any 2 of these. So let's say you special summon your Terratop, you add a Take Tomborg, you special summon that, and you make a Dante, then you use the effect, you mill 3. Doesn't matter what those are. So now you still have the 3 Burning Abyss monsters in your hand. And so you want to be sure to summon the most valuable Beatrice again. So you really need to be careful with what monsters you summon. So would you want to summon the Barbar and the Graph, and then discard Seer to make your Beatrice? Or maybe you want to summon Barbar and Seer, and discard the Graph. But again, you want to make the most valuable Beatrice, so the correct move would be to summon Seer and then Graph, go into your Dante, and then discard the Barbar to go into Beatrice. And you want to make the Beatrice over this Dante because again it has more material, and then those material are more valuable because Terratop doesn't have much value at all. And now finally, what if you have Terratop and Tour Guide? So let's just say you open the nuts. This is a great hand if you open both of these. So you summon Terratop, get your Take Tomborg, and then you go into Dante. You activate Dante's effect, you mill 3, but you don't mill a Skarm. You really want to just resolve Skarm this turn. You're going first, so you summon Tour Guide, and use the effect to get Skarm. Because again, you want to resolve that Skarm. So now you go into a second Dante, and you're going to attach Skarm to mill 3 more. And you still have 1 Burning Abyss monster in your hand. And you really want to summon Beatrice. So now the question is, which of these Dantes do you use to make the Beatrice? They both only have 1 material, but one has a Terratop, and then one has a Tour Guide. So which one do you use? So in this case, it doesn't matter, because Terratop and Tour Guide are both useless as material, and so you would just discard your Burning Abyss monster and make it on whichever Dante you prefer. Whether it's the one with the highest rarity or whatever you use to distinguish them, doesn't matter. Both of these Beatrice would have the same value, whether it's on the Terratop or on the Tour Guide. Both of these have the same value, and so you're good in either situation. So just to kind of summarize, you want to make the most valuable Beatrice, and the way you do that is by putting Beatrice over the Dante with the most material, and then if they have equal material, you use the Dante with the best material. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future. Do you like this in-person type of video? Let me know in the comments section. If you want to know more about Burning Abyss, check out my guide to playing them. If you want to see Burning Abyss in action, I also have duels, deck profiles, and more Burning Abyss content on my channel, so be sure to check that out. And once again, thank you guys for watching.